Hey, it's your boy Dre off the top here with the usual spoiler warning. This entire episode from beginning to end will be full on spoilers for Silent Hill 2, for this remake and the original game. We are not holding back whatsoever, so this is your one and only chance to turn off this episode right now if you don't want to be spoiled on all things Silent Hill 2. But if you've already played the game, or just want to hear us talk about it anyway, you don't care about spoilers, we welcome you, and we will get started right now.
Fine time.
Hello, party people. Hello, spooky people. Hello, silent people. It's your boy Dre, and I am here with the one, the only person I talk about spooky games with, apparently, Patrick. He's back.
Hoorah! What's up?
Hi.
Are you waiting for me there in our special place?
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you survived Silent Hill. You got to actually come back.
Well, yeah, but then I got a letter, This keeps happening.
Yeah, it's weird, huh? It's like, yeah, that letter. That is weird. I know it was like 2001 and snail mail hadn't completely gone by the wayside. I don't know when Silent Hill is supposed to take place. At the same time, I don't know. A letter?
It has a date. That was actually something that I forgot to note. You can find a calendar in the garage at the beginning. It's apparently 1983.
Oh, okay.
So now we know. It's been thought about for decades, and now we know it's 1983.
That makes sense. That actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine Eddie at some sort of punk show 5 years ago with the hair and everything, the first wave punk and everything? I can totally see him in that scene,
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. Well, as I said up front, we're here to talk about Silent Hill 2, this remake that has been a long time coming. It has arrived. We came, we saw, we conquered, and we're just going to talk about it in full. But first, I always like to do this. Patrick, tell the people what kind of Silent Hill fan you are. Let's have the perspective of you here first.
I'm the Silent Hill fan that a lot of Silent Hill fans don't like. Silent Hill 2 is my favorite and was my second favorite game of all time for the longest time. But I don't hate most of the other games. I think 1 and 3 are good. I like Downpour a lot. I thought Book of Memories was fun. Shattered Memories is great. Shattered Memories, the Wii one. And the only one that I have any issue with is Homecoming, and we don't talk about that. But I think each one of them has their own, good points and bad points, and there's not an inherently bad Silent Hill game, except Homecoming. We don't talk about it.
Yeah, Homecoming is not good. I hate when people shit on Downpour. I really like Downpour, but what do I know?
I thought Downpour was a great return to form in a lot of ways, and it's technically it had problems, but just story-wise and presentation, I thought was really good. I was like,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I thought so. Basically, for me, I really love the original trilogy. I love all 3 games. And it's I don't really think about it as something oh, yeah, I really love Silent Hill. I always think of it as I appreciate the series. I play them here or there. Honestly, though, when I think about it, I love those first 3 games. And for completely different reasons, because they're very different games to me.
They are.
And I would say I like the third one the best. Silent Hill 3 has always been my favorite. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that is always...
Fetus dinner.
I don't even want to get into it. But yeah, it's that's my favorite. But yeah, I've always appreciated Silent Hill 2 and the first one as well. And yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I don't think I think the only Silent Hill game I've never even dabbled in is 4. I don't think I've ever played it.
It's okay. I'm not a huge fan personally, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's people have thoughts. I know that. So, okay. Let's talk about, before we get into the game, let's talk about how this was announced and the anticipation for it, because I think that's really important for this game. So this remake was rumored and speculated on for months. I feel like we had been hearing rumors about it for like forever. And then when they finally showed it at that, what was it, that Silent Hill transmission, I think it was called, that Konami did, I was like, well, no shit. I feel like we've known that forever.
I feel like it had been floating in the ether since towards the end of the PS4 and the launch of the PS5. Like, everybody had been claiming it was going to happen, but nobody would just confirm it. And
that's the first time I heard a rumor about it, is that when they were having the initial like PS5 presentation and like showing it off during the Rona, the Silent Hill 2 was rumored to be there, and I was like, oh, it's not there, but it took a while. It wasn't until October 22 when they finally announced it. So what was your feelings at this point? Because I was pretty excited, mainly because it was a PS5 exclusive. And not because of any fanboy reasons or anything. It's just that it meant that they could really like hone in and make something really great and tailor-made for like one piece of hardware, you know? Because I mean, as much as we do multi-platform nowadays, that's still when you get the best results. So I was thinking, okay, yeah, Silent Hill 2 for one platform, that's going to be great. I can't lie, though. I was hoping it would be the first game that would be remade, because I think needs it the most is the wrong way to say it. I just think it would be the most interesting. Not that this wasn't interesting, but I think you know what I mean. Obviously, being a Silent Hill person, I think the first one would be more like, oh, that would be a great game to have an interesting take on. But no complaints with 2. Obviously, I get it. That game gets all the glory. I understand why they're doing that one. But yeah, I would have liked to see the first one. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I was excited for Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, I was pretty hyped for the Silent Hill transmission, you know, and had been watching cautiously for the years leading up to it, going, okay, are you gonna or are you not? You know, when you gonna do it? And then the transmission started, and almost everything in there was like, dude, this looks cool, you know. I again, showing that I'm the one that everybody hates. I liked the short message when it came out finally. I enjoyed it. It's weird, but it's fun.
I've played it.
Townfall and Ascension, I'm kind of iffy on now, but their presentation was good. And then, of course, they get to Silent Hill 2 Remake, where I'm equally parts hyped to the moon and dreading, because I'm like, okay, this is like one of my sacred cows. Are they going to fuck it up? But then I was like, well, even if they do, I still have my PS2 disc. I still have my PS3 collection. I still have the collection for Xbox. Like, they can't hurt me if I don't let them. So this can only be net positive. and then they showed F, and I'm like, I want that. Shut up and take my money. But we haven't heard about it since. So.
Yeah, I hope that's still doing well. But yeah, that was a great presentation by Konami. Yeah, you know, I'm glad you said that though, because there are people who are like, oh, what if they fuck it up? The original's right there, man. It's not going anywhere. I remember, so in 2019. They had the 25th anniversary of Monster, the REM record, and they did like a new re-release, and there was a new mix of the record by the producer, Scott Litt, and it was wildly different. The mix was crazy. He used different vocal takes. He did different, like, it was like, it wasn't a completely different record, but it was drastically different. Because you know how Monster sounds. It sounds like it sounds, right? You can't imagine it being any other way until he did that. Everyone's like, this sucks. And it's like, bro, disc 1 on this collection is the original record remastered. Like, you don't,
the MP3s are still there.
Yeah, the new Monster cannot hurt you. I promise. You know. But anyway, yeah, it's, you know, I do like hearing different takes, even if they're not great. I don't mind the Monster remaster, by the way. Anyway. Silent Hill 2 was announced to be being developed by Bloober Team, who had previously made games like Layers of Fear, The Medium, Observer, other horror games, right? So they seem like a natural fit to do this, but apparently, for some reason, people had a bug up their ass about them for reasons I'm still not sure about. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm that guy. I like Bloober games. I love all the Layers of Fear games. I'm not too in tune with the Blair Witch game, but I like what they were doing. It's just, it's not a game for me, and that's fine. And the medium, I bought a freaking Xbox for it, okay? And then 6 months later, it comes out on PS5 anyway. But we don't talk about that. But
No.
And anytime I tried to get people who were on the Bloober sucks, blah 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 train to explain why, the only even semi thoughtful response I would get is, oh well, they're problematic because of their treatment of sexual abuse in the medium, and I'm like, what? Yeah,
okay.
I'm, this isn't about the medium, so we're not going to get into it, but it's kind of like, oh, I'm sorry someone told a story you didn't like. It's one of those things, But
okay, look,
that was the only argument. And I'm like, but that's something else. They make good games, guys.
Yeah, and I'm also a fan of thinking... I'm also of the mind of people can get better at their jobs. Mm-hmm. Just because they made something that was kind of whatever. Look, I haven't played the medium, so I don't know. But I'm just saying, you can do better than that, right? I mean, I don't know.
Honestly, the medium is probably one of the best, if not the best, Silent Hill knockoffs I played in a long time. The only other one that's close is Tormented Souls. And on top of that, Tormented Souls is so good. The sequel's coming.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing is even if that's your complaint, is that there was story problems with the medium, because nobody seems to complain about the gameplay mechanics or anything else. They didn't write the story for Silent Hill 2. That's on Konami's box. Mm-hmm. So the problem you have with them isn't being handled by them anyway, so shut up.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. I just never understood that shit, and I completely agree with that. Before we get into the game, I do want to say a couple things, because the lead up to this game, the dumb shit things people said about it before it released, one of them being what you said about sexual abuse. Mm-hmm. There was dumb things said about the trailers, which I'll get to in a sec, but I want to say this first, because this is something I've always felt, but the lead up to this reconfirmed it for me big time. I can't fucking stand the way people treat Silent Hill 2. Mm-hmm. I can't take it, man. They act as if it's some sort of perfect thing. Look, you just said it's one of your favorite games of all time. It's not beyond criticism. It's not.
It's not.
They act like it's some sort of untouchable, once-in-a-lifetime perfect game that nobody could ever possibly hope to understand or grasp with their puny little brain, right? Mm-hmm. This is... And it's it's simply not that. Silent Hill 2 is a really great survival horror game. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's all the mythologizing and putting it on a pedestal over these years allowed it to become this thing that became so weird and annoying in the lead up to this. All the insufferable people, were the loudest about it too. It was it was insane to me. So I gotta say that I did not like that to on the lead up here.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And the thing that really gets me is most of those people, the loudest among them, have probably never actually sat down and played Silent Hill 2. Mm-hmm. It's they're going on, I was on the wiki for 8,000 hours and I watched this other person play through one speed run, and it's
mm-hmm.
And on top of that, like you said, it's one of my favorites. It is the closest to a sacred cow I have. And I will still shit on that game for some of the things it does, because it's not perfect. It's not a Kubrick masterpiece. Kubrick masterpieces aren't Kubrick masterpieces. But it's calm down. It's just a game, man. It's a great game, but it's just a game.
Please, it's just if you can't criticize the things that you like, then you don't really like it, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a common thing people say, but I think it's true,
Yeah.
But I reached my breaking point when at one of the State of Plays, and I know you remember this, they showed this trailer that had this had rock music and James shooting stuff, and all the stupid people came out of the woodwork. It's oh no, they're ruining it and making it an action game or whatever. And it's did you dumb motherfuckers forget what a trailer is? Like, holy shit, we can't be being this stupid right now. We just cannot be, And that's when I decided to stop looking at any comments regarding anything and just waited for the game to come out. I just skipped over everything Silent Hill because I couldn't take it anymore.
Wait, what you mean you don't think that you could just use the slow burn psychological torment shots for a 30-second sizzle reel and get people interested? No!
Yeah.
You're lying!
Jesus Christ. I thought we were sounding like a product here, guys. I mean, my God. If there was like Silent Hill 2 commercials back in like 2001, I mean, what would those be like, right? I mean,
I think there were, and I seem to remember, at least maybe it was on GameTrailers.com or something, but there was at least one that was basically a montage of James going around whacking things with his pipe. Like that happened at some point. Somebody did that, and maybe it was GTV or something, but I saw some clip like that, and it's just like, okay, but do you understand? You kill like 200 monsters on an average playthrough. There's going to be combat. That doesn't mean it's the only thing.
You kill stuff in this game. This isn't even Resident Evil where you pop like 30 zombies max or something. It's not that kind of game, which is great. That's what sets it apart. Anyway, stuff leading up to it. Do you agree? I know you agree with me on these people, but tell me about your run-ins.
There was the same crowd that came out for Dead Space a couple years ago that were screaming and moaning, going, "Oh, they made James and Maria old, and now they're ugly, and nobody above the age of 20 ever does anything or fucks or anything." And then there was people complaining about his frickin' hair color being weird, and well, he just looks depressed. I'm like, yeah, he's fucking depressed. You know what the game's about?
Yeah, he killed his goddamn wife and he can't deal with it. Yeah, he's depressed. I'm pretty sure he's depressed.
And then people, the usual cavalcade of, "Oh, they made Maria and Angela ugly." And I'm like, dude, Maria looks fine. I'm just saying I like her a lot more now. And Angela, she looks a little weird at first until you actually go back and look at how old she's supposed to be. She's 19 years old. Now, the original, she looks 30, but she's supposed to be 19. Mm-hmm. And if you process it that way, you're like, 19-year-old sexual assault victim. Gosh, I wonder if that might be why she talks kind of weird and she has a little bit of baby fat still and why she wears big baggy clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, boss. But
sounds like you don't understand the game you think you understand, huh?
And it's just like, come on. And they were all flipping out about Maria's voice acting, especially in the trailer that shows her in the labyrinth cell, the "See I'm Real" James clip. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, she sounds off and stilted, but they also played clips of Mary talking and Mary sounds normal and they're the same voice actress. I'm like, I think that's on purpose. She's supposed to sound wrong here.
Yeah, it's kind of like complaining, like you've played the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, how Cloud sounds because he's not himself. He's not him. He can't be his real self. And when it sneaks out, you hear it in the voice actor. Mm-hmm. And when you don't, when he's being like robotic cloud, like fantasy, cloudfiction.net, as me and Vin like to call it. he was taking a sip while I said cloudfiction.net, everybody. Sorry, I thought you knew that one. Anyway, so but yeah, you can tell the difference in the voice actor, Mm-hmm. But actually, I want to use this point actually to talk about voice acting real quick, because I noticed this when in the scene where you first meet Eddie, it dawned on me, the original game being a product of its time, right? It had that very particular, this is a Japanese game with English voice acting kind of sound, right? That's what games sounded like in 2001 and shit. I mean, throughout the second half of the 90s, whether it's Resident Evil or, whatever, Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid has better voice acting than that, but you know what I mean? I never thought about Silent Hill 2 or the first one as having like great voice acting. It's just what games sounded like at the time.
Right.
And then, like, because you even hear it in James's voice, right? Because Eddie's like, let's get the fuck out of here. And James is like, I can't. I'm looking for someone. There's something wrong with this town. You should be careful, right? Like he's not that robotic, right? But I mean, like he's pretty like stoic, right? So it's like this is that gives it a certain feel. And that's something I didn't realize, I didn't really question that at the time because that's just how voice acting sounded. But now in this new context of this remake, I realize that's the way it's supposed to sound. You know what I mean?
He has that blunted affect because of what he's done. and it works.
Yeah, for sure.
Fine time. Sick. I'm sick. I'm sick. Oh, what? I'm sick. Head deadly. I'm sick. I'm sick.
Let's get into the game proper. We eat with our eyes first. I want to talk about the way this game fucking looks because, oh my god. Okay, let me start here. Let me start with a confession to the audience, the Fine Time audience, okay? I got to tell you guys something. I played Silent Hill 2 in quality mode, meaning, yes, I played it at 30 frames a second. Oh my god. You
monster.
I'm terrible. Hell has frozen over. Yes, it is still me, your boy Dre. I have not been taken over by a lizard person or whatever. It is me. But yeah, it was just really sublime seeing it look like this. And that's the default settings, quality mode. And I think that's for a reason. I think it just looks better that way, and it was really, really worth it. My next play will absolutely be at 60, though. I definitely want to see it that way, but I did play it at default and quality mode, and it looked stupendous.
It does. And honestly, it still looks great at 60. I'll tell you that. But, your mileage may vary. My eyesight's not great. Everybody knows that. But it looked damn good. It is very worthy of the graphics on PlayStation 5 baby stamp, in my opinion, in any mode. And it's just the thing that really got me is the attention to detail. Like, there's no just, generic wall texture here. Same $5 off sign in this store window that you saw 6 stores ago. Everything is very deliberate, handcrafted, not repeated textures. Everything is unique if you really look. The only thing that there's a little samey is some of the cars, but that I'm willing to let that one slide. But like the shop windows, the shop designs, the street layouts, if you look, there's freaking cracks in the ground that are unique. It's crazy. It's like,
it's insane. I had this kind of thought when you get to the music store and you see the front of that, and I'm like, I don't remember. I mean, look, I haven't laid eyes on the original since it came out, but I was like, I don't remember it looking like this. Like this looks crazy. And I had the same thought, like the town, Silent Hill, the streets thereof, all, really look very bespoke now instead of, like a PS2 game, which is great. And one thing I wasn't prepared for, and I probably should have been prepared for this, was finally seeing the fog in the game as not like a hardware limitation, but as a feature. Of course, in the original, it's both. It is a hardware limitation and a feature, right? Yeah. This, it is just strictly a feature, so they can do this stuff that looks incredible. Now we do fog because we want to. I remember during Dead Space, we talked about this with the volumetric fog and the way, and the way that game uses it, which is obviously completely different. In this, it just, man, the lighting, obviously, when you first get there, it is gray and slightly drizzly, if not actually raining, maybe a little bit. And it's really dreary, and the fog reflects that. But even when you're at night or at different times of the day, or when it actually does rain and the fog dissipates or whatever, you still get that atmospheric layer, which is just incredible. Just all the lighting in general. When you get to the hospital at first, and it's like golden hour, and it's like coming through the oh my god,
with the refractions in the windows and everything.
Yeah. That's one section where I did flip it back between quality and performance. I was like, oh shit, like I mean, look, it still looked great on performance. Don't get me wrong, but it just you just get over the hump, if you will, and quality to be like, this looks fucking incredible. The hotel was obviously obviously beautiful. All the lighting there, the garden, every environment. Obviously, that's the shining part of the game. But like, and it's clearly inspired by, but it does it so well that it's just like, man.
The hotel was probably my favorite environment in the game, and the one that got the best glow up in terms of game flow and presentation. Something I was slightly sidetracked, but something that I was very happy about was that you didn't do explore area, go to other world, explore area again. It was separate places typically, and the hotel really benefited from that immensely in the layout in general and the puzzles, and just the whole place. It looks great, especially when you first walk in and you feel like you're about to visit the honeymoon suite to be reunited, until we find out what really happened. And then the hotel, yes. And I loved that.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. It just looked incredible at every turn. I really loved all the real-time deformation of stuff too. Like when that one boss in the hotel comes at you in the conference room and it just goes to the table and like,
Dude gave me a heart attack.
That thing fucked me up. I tell you what. Oh my God. Like that but the way the table just shreds into pieces, you know what I mean? Or essentially
flying everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Or essentially like all the stuff that happens deep in the labyrinth. Obviously, when things are just like, I don't know if you're going back and forth between the other world and the real world, or like I feel like you are, but
lore-wise, the labyrinth supposedly exists only in the other world, but I don't know if they're going with that explanation here or not. Okay. I think it's made up of chunks of memories of the real world, less than actual overlap, but
by the way, until this game, I never knew it was called Otherworld. I never knew it had a canonical name.
Really?
Yeah. Was that because you find a note actually in this game where after you when you're leaving the hospital and it actually explains a little bit? Is that in the original? Because I don't remember that.
I don't remember if that note specifically is in the original, and I'm not. No, there's a note inside the hospital in the original that talks about the other world. Okay. But it's always been called that. Dahlia refers to that in the original Silent Hill, and Claudia and Vincent talk about it and refer to it as that in 3. 4 doesn't really touch on it, but it's 4.
Right.
But Otherworld has always been what it's called.
Okay, yeah, I just never, I don't even know what I used to call it, Hell World or Flipside. I used to call it Flipside. Yeah. That's what I named it, because I didn't know what it was called.
I always called it Misty and Dark. That was my terminology. Like,
I think Evan used to call it Hell World. I think that's who he used to call it. The DualSense, baby, doing a bang-up job here. Holy shit, man. The way it's used overall, the soundtrack, like, does something. You like when you hear the piano notes of like the theme and you just feel it literally resonating through the controller, those scratchy piano sounds, right? Or like I said, when he leaps through the conference table and all the splinters go whoosh, and you literally, oh my God. Or the clock goes boom and it just resonates right through the show. Holy shit. All of that stuff is fantastic. They work their ass off on that.
I also really liked the radio coming through the DualSense speaker. That was really good. And it really fucked with me because I was doing a no radio run the first time through because there's a trophy for it. And, and when you see Pyramid Head in the apartments for the first time, he overrides your radio normally. It just turns into this high-pitched shriek.
Okay.
It started doing that even though the radio was off, and it scared the shit out of me. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And then I was like, oh, that's how the radio works in this game. Crazy. But it was like, what the shit?
That's crazy. That's really crazy.
I spent the majority of the game limping around on like no health because I was going specifically for the end water ending, and the heartbeat as James starts to flag is very noticeable, and if you die after you've been that way for a long time, it kind of pulse, light pulse, no pulse. Like it's like a flat line. I'm like, Damn, son.
That is wild. I like that they did the typical the DualSense lights up green, yellow, or red depending on your health. I always like that. Shit, that was one of my favorite things about Code Veronica with the VMU. It'd tell you wouldn't have to pause to see your like health. You know what I mean? Because that's what you always had to do in Resident Evil back in the day. Yeah, that's right, kids. You had to pause to see what your health was.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Unless you were like about to die, where they were limping around going,
right? But you didn't know if you were on caution or kind of, kind of still
is that
okay.
one more hit or is that two?
Exactly. Especially if you were Jill, because you could go from caution to fucking dead real fast.
Shit, you can go find a dead like one hit sometimes.
You really could.
Hunters just.
She had no health. Oh my god. But I think. Okay, tell me if you noticed this when you get out of the apartment building and other parts of the game too. Like there are some cutscenes. Like when you first meet Maria, it instead of fading to black, it fades to white. And then goes into that, right? Or sometimes when you talk to Angela too, it does that. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice it until you had called attention to it, and I'm still not sure if that means anything. And I feel like it does that on the PS2 version too.
Okay.
I know for sure it's a white fade to white when you meet Maria on the PS2 version, but other than that, I'm not 100%. But I'm not sure. I mean, I could make theory crafting all day about it. But
right. Yeah,
I don't know if that's intentional or if it's just it looks cooler sometimes to do that or what, but it was weird and yeah, okay, that's different.
Yeah. I want to hear about your take because again, I have not played the original since it came out. I want to hear about your general like game flow, environment improvements, whatever compared to the original. You don't mind.
The single biggest one I already kind of touched on is the exploration. It's no longer go to a quote unquote dungeon, the apartments or the hospital or whatever, explore the whole thing and then go to the other world and then explore the whole thing again. They're distinct environments now. They split up the apartment buildings. So the Blue Creek is the other world and the Woodside is the regular world. The hospital, it's two different parts of the hospital for the most part. The hotel is the only one with that overlap. And that worked. I was really happy about that because it made every environment feel fresh, that I was not just treading the same spot over and over and over again. And then also the streets got a giant glow up. In the original version, they're just there. They're the connective tissue between the dungeons. Nothing happens there. They're not important. There's some items and there's a couple monsters if you want to beat stuff up. And that's about it. But the remake made them larger, or at least the explorable part of them larger, because there's, obviously all the broken roads and everything.
Right.
But they made the explorable part of them larger. They made you able to go into almost all the buildings of consequence. They added some puzzles and some, backtracking and redirection and some off the beaten path areas with rewards and made it feel like it's its own area, not just, this is just the through line to get to where you're going. There's stuff to do here too. And I really, really liked that.
Yeah, in the original, it kind of feels just like I think hub is the wrong, almost like just setting the scene, a scene setter. Okay, these are the streets of Silent Hill. It's foggy. It's weird. It's, it's fucked up or whatever. The streets, there's big cracks. You can't get across the street, and then you just go to the apartment building and it's like, okay, whatever. It just kind of sets the tone of the game. So yeah, that is something. I want to make a point actually about this first hour of this game because I think it's interesting, because what you basically do, like you said, you're running around the streets of Silent Hill and you find a bar with half a broken record. So you got to go to the record store and get the other half of the record and some glue in there to glue it back together. Right?
Yep.
And the jukebox has this button missing, so you got to go dig in this disgusting hole to get a jukebox button, right? You take all the stuff back to the bar, repair the record, repair the jukebox, play the record, and this makes the jukebox spit out a key. What in the actual fuck? is this? Like, who does that? Survival horror games from 2001 do that. That's who does that. And I love that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, I love that they didn't try to modernize it in that way, because nobody makes a game like that anymore with that kind of weird puzzle shit. Right. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I love that they preserved it. I wish we could still do that nowadays. You know, I don't know. I just wanted to highlight that because I guess that's a good inroad to talk about puzzles in general. But
and I really like the record puzzle. I was like, oh, cool. That is completely new. That's never been done before. That is 100% new. And I was like, I really like this. This is cool. And you had to think about it and what's the favorite song, and it was kind of cool. But and it spitting out a key didn't bother me too bad. Even though the door is right there and it's like you could have just unlocked the door, but then that became kind of a running theme throughout the game is, okay, you did the puzzle. Now we're going to cough up either a key for the door that you're standing next to or an item that you use on this pedestal right next to you that will open the door that is right next to you, or that will give you a key to unlock the door that is right next. And I'm like, okay, can we cut a little of the middleman out here? I don't mind the puzzles for the most part. I do like the redesigned puzzles, almost all of them. The 3 coins puzzle, I really like that now. And I like that it now has a little thing that can influence your ending a little bit. I was like, that's
really
cool.
How does that happen? What happens?
After you go through the several iterations of the movement of the coins, when it asks you the last question, it's who do you blame? You can either put the man token, the snake token, or the woman token up there. If you put the woman token up there, it gives you points towards the Maria ending because you're blaming Mary. It's Mary's fault.
Okay.
If you put the man token up there, it gives you points towards in water and leave because James is accepting the blame.
And I put man up there and I got leave. So yeah, that's probably, yeah.
And if you put the snake up there, it gives you points to leave because you're blaming it on Maria, basically.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that's clever. And almost all the major puzzles have a little thing at the end that does influence your ending somewhat. They're not as big as the main things like your health bar and whether you look at the letter and stuff, but they are there.
Did I look at the letter? Man, I don't think I did. Well, that would obviously give points towards Mary, right? Like
it gives points towards leave. And then if you look at it later in the game, because it gets blanked out when you find out certain things, if you look at it then, it gives points towards in water.
Okay.
But all the puzzle redesigns I thought were really, really good and kept the spirit to please it's my favorite game ever, but were different enough that, okay, I'm not just playing the same shit again,
Mm-hmm.
Except for one puzzle. And
okay.
In the apartment building, there is this puzzle it seems to be implied to be somebody's sex dungeon. That he locked somebody up in there, and she went nuts with glow-in-the-dark crayon and drew all over the walls. And there's that road with all the things, and you have to get the safe code. And there's a poem that, leans on the hints. And I'm like, I get what it wanted from me. It's like, okay, it said like river to the right, and then hills to the left, and then home to the right. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're asking. But the fact that, one, you have to get up on top of the wall because it reacts to his flashlight, not visible.
Right.
You have to carefully drag all the way around the lines. And I got so backwards and so fucked up so many times trying to track that. I knew one number for sure. And I finally ended up just brute forcing the damn thing because I'm like, this is shit. This is pissing me off. And
it took me a while.
I was in there for half an hour, I think, and I finally was just like, I'm not dealing with this, and I just started, okay, 922, 923. I was like, I will get there.
You figured that would be faster than...
At that point, it was like 10 minutes, and I was done. I'm like, okay, there we go.
Can you tell me something? Because I did not do this because I didn't realize what was happening. So you know how... Okay, by the way, this is one of the things. Throughout this, I'll probably be asking you, did this happen to the original or not? When you get in the elevator and the guy is giving you a quiz, is that there in the original?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't remember that shit at all.
The quiz is different. And you actually have Maria with you in the original when you get the quiz, and it's really funny. And I was kind of upset that she's not for this one because she has some dialogue like, "What the fuck was that?" And James is like, "Oh,
I don't know." But anyway, you find that box where it's clearly they want you to put in the numbers from the quiz, and I was just like, and it zapped me because I started messing with it. I'm like, okay, I'll fuck with that later. And then I left, and I was like, oh, that was the quiz from the elevator. I realized it too late. So can you satisfy my curiosity? What was in that box?
Some ammo and health drinks."
Okay, that was it. Okay,
it's nothing really important.
Okay, good.
I think it's like one box of rifle ammo, a couple of health drinks, and a syringe or something. It's nothing you desperately need.
Yeah, if I had one point of criticism about the puzzles, it's almost kind of like what you said. I feel like there are just a little too many padlocks and passwords and like number codes. I feel like we needed more moon logic, like more Resident Evil moon logic, like press the buttons on the pictures and the generations of the family or whatever, like shit like that. I feel like we could have used like a couple more things like that.
I like the director's office puzzle, with the astrological books, and then having to translate that to the save code. I really liked that one, and I'm like, I would have been cool with a couple more like that.
Yeah, probably just a little too many numbers, I guess. It's kind of a small quibble, really, but you know, that's really it.
Fine time.
Let's talk about story and characters, if you don't mind, because I've always appreciated how simple Silent Hill 2 is. And that's not to say that it's all surface level or it's not deep or anything, because it is. But the face value of it is what it is. James is a dude who can't face himself for what he did, so he's going into this nightmarish, metaphorical guilt trip to punish himself. And that's all you really need to know about it. If you want to get real, you can get deep into the lore if you want, but you don't have to. Like, the game provides everything you need to know, and it's up to you if you want to read into it or not. Like, okay, I'll be honest. What was going on in the hospital with all the notes? I read them all. Do I completely grasp what's happening there? Not really. I'm sure I could if I thought about it a little more. I mean, I mostly do. I mean, but like, you know, there's some stuff where I was like, there's some stuff in the prison where I'm like, okay, you know, but again, it's there if you want to, but you don't really need to get that deep with it. You know, because I think sometimes, in fact, I think a lot of times, horror is best left unexplained because that's what makes it scary. That's what makes it fucked up, right? I don't need to know why Pyramid Head exists. I don't need to know why the radio produces static when a monster gets by, right?
It just fucking does.
It just fucking does, right? Like, I don't need to know why there's legs on top of legs kicking the shit out of me, right? I mean, I kind of do, but I don't really, right? And those are the rules of this world, and I'm going to accept this world for what it is. As long as they establish rules and they stick to them, I'm fine with just about anything. And I think Silent Hill 2 is kind of a masterclass at that.
Yes. It clearly sets out what the rules of this world are. It does so fairly early, or at least lays the clues for it fairly early. And by the end, you understand, and there's not really any dangling threads, but it hasn't beaten you over the head with it either. And there are little things in the corners if you want to be that person and go dig around and find all the weird stuff. It's there for you, but you don't need to. You can get the concept of what the story was.
Yeah.
And it was very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I really, goddamn. You know, I gotta say, before, I don't remember liking Maria as a character. I didn't dislike her by any means. I didn't dislike her, but I wasn't like, oh, wow, I love this character. She was just kind of there. In this game, I fucking love this character. Holy shit.
I hated her fucking guts in the original. Honestly, I could not stand her. She just pissed me off. And like, after I had ticked the box for getting the Maria ending once, just to, get my trophy or get my 100% save, and then I didn't have to do it anymore, every time I'd get to the park, I'd sit there and whack her with the stick for a while just to drive down her affection level so there was no chance in hell I wasn't getting that again.
Right.
And I couldn't stand her. And then when they did the Restless Dreams version with the Born from a Wish scenario, I liked her a little more because it did kind of, ironically, humanize her more.
Right.
But she's still like, no, you are not best girl. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But in the remake, I love her. I was like, oh my God, she has a personality. She's actually funny. She interacts with you. She reacts to all the things you're doing. She has commentary about almost everywhere in Silent Hill. If you just wander around with her and take her places, she'll have shit to say about almost all the marked locations.
Wow,
it's like,
really?
And now, unless you're going for the Maria ending, you probably don't want to do that because those earn you points towards that ending.
Right,
but it's
right.
like, wow, she's actually a person, and she acts like a person who is a real human being stuck in an unreal situation until the unfortunate elevator accident where her nature becomes more ambiguous. But that makes sense.
Right.
Also, I like her redesign. The old one, she was fine, I guess, but, very, very early 2000s skank and not that interesting.
Basically.
But her new design, I'm like, Maria can get it.
Yeah.
I can understand why James might have to sit there and think about that for a minute.
Well, that's the thing. That's what sells it. She actually has the real sex appeal to make that work. Because she's like, oh, you sure you don't want to come to the hotel with me? Or whatever the hell she's saying to him to tease him. You know? And he's just like, oh, I guess I have a penis, maybe, right? Like, he's like, not sure. But that's what sells it because she's actually fucking attractive.
She's funny and a person, and there's emotion in her voice, and it's like, yes. The one of the best parts to me was it's in the labyrinth when she comes up, she strokes his face through the bars and says, "Don't you want to touch me, James?" And he just stops, and the look on his face is just this pure torture, and he just kind of finally stammers out, I don't know what I want anymore. And I'm like, yes, paint this picture. I love it.
I love it. No, that's. I always got the feeling that's the character she was supposed to be, and I feel like if there's anything in this remake that is to me the biggest glow up, that's it. To me, is Maria. That character is now not just there for. She is a great character. She's probably my favorite character now, if I'm being honest. So it's just like, yeah,
I would agree with you actually. Yeah. I would concur.
She's
great.
It's pretty incredible. Any other character stuff you like that's different or not in Silent Hill 2?
James's acting is better, and his facial reactions are really good. Like I said, the way he looks when he says this, I don't know anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The facial expression he makes when she pours him the shot in the strip club.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, I guess James was a bit of an alkie, wasn't he? Because you convey that through a single look, and I'm like, show not tell, perfect. Yep. And he really got upgraded in that way, but I think that's mostly technology is there now to do that. Laura's Laura. She didn't change any. I still want to punch her in the nose. Eddie, though. Eddie is such a mixed bag for me because
really, okay,
yeah, I get that he's supposed to be a gonk. He's supposed to be kind of ugly and weird, and nobody likes him and misanthropic and all of that. But when you have all these people complaining about how Maria and Angela are ugly and don't look human anymore, and Eddie's right fucking there. I'm like, dude, I get he's supposed to be ugly, but there's ugly, and did Sloth mate with a fucking boiling pustule or what? I mean, God.
They really amped it up. Yeah, they really amped it up.
He's just so hideous and gross, and I think they went overboard on that. His attitude I liked a lot more because he does seem a little more layered and torn with how he is, at least up till the end. Mm-hmm. And then they I feel like they were having a Han shot first moment at his boss fight, where in the original James is kind of calling him an asshole, and that leads to Eddie trying to shoot him. Whereas in the remake, it's much more Eddie's just nanners, and I feel like that was kind of, let's deflect that away so it's not as much James' fault that he murders this guy. But
yeah,
whatever.
But Eddie, I think I like that slightly better though, like slightly. I think either way, I'm fine with it, but like I kind of like it more that he's just kind of nuts, because I think that makes more sense. Especially, I was thinking about the scene in the theater, you know, where he's just eating that bucket of pink slop or whatever, or
with
just
his hand covered in shit.
Yeah, it's just like, what are you doing, man? Or
how could you just sit here and eat popcorn?
He's like, oh, now you want me to come with you? He's like, okay, this isn't the time to be butthurt. I mean, we could just get out of here. But whatever. But yeah, I think that just fits with the way this game goes, I think. But like, I don't know. I think it's fine. And
that's fine. I'm not butthurt one way or the other. I feel like it felt kind of like you were nudging it away just because you didn't want to get in trouble with somebody. But
right.
The thing about Eddie, though, is he has the single coolest character detail of anyone in the game.
Okay.
If you watch in any scene where Eddie is, no matter what is going on around him, no matter what environment he's in, his breath is always fogging up like he's cold. In the apartment, his is doing that. James is not. In the movie theater, Laura and James, no. Eddie, yes. The prison, again, James doesn't, Eddie does. And if you look at the corpses that Eddie has left behind, they have a rime of frost on them. So then when you finally get to fight Eddie and see what his Silent Hill Otherworld looks like, where it's a frozen meat locker, it's like, oh, you clever bastards.
That's
you had that there the whole time.
did not realize that at all. Yeah. Because, you know, the game is foggy or whatever, kind of hazy, sometimes even indoors, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, it is what it, I didn't think about that. That's pretty fucking cool.
It is cool.
That is super cool. I did really enjoy that boss fight. It wasn't like that in the original, right? With the meat, you take cover behind the meat.
The meat was there and you could take cover behind it, but the game wasn't really programmed to do that. You know, it was just like, okay, it's just a wall that looks like pig legs. It doesn't really do anything.
Okay.
And, you know, it was not interactive in any way. It was just the environment.
The perfect fog layer in that place too, the perfect frost layer, I should say. And that did look distinct from the fog. They could have just used the fog. You know, but this actually did. Yeah, this actually did look like frost. It was pretty incredible.
Fine time.
Okay, I want to ask you about a number of things that I wrote down that I was not sure. I asked you about a couple already that I did not remember happening in the original, but you can enlighten me to some more now.
Okay.
Did the original game begin with that opening forest path? I don't if it did begin with that, I don't remember it being that long, if it had existed at all. So was that there? I don't remember that. Okay, was it? Okay.
The intro of the game, from him touching the mirror in the bathroom up to crossing the gate of the cemetery after meeting Angela, is essentially identical.
Okay.
It looks a little different. There's more buildings. There's some side paths, you know, some stuff to do, but it's essentially identical. And honestly, I think, and I don't know if it just feels this way because there's nothing fucking there on the PS2 and 3 version, or if it actually is, but it feels longer on the old version.
Oh.
And that, again, that might just be because there's literally nothing there. The only thing on that path is if you're in a New Game Plus, the chainsaw is there.
Okay.
But other than that, it's just a straight empty line with the droning sound until you get to the save point, and then a straight droning line until you get to Angela. So it might just feel longer, but it feels longer. But otherwise, it's the same.
Okay. But wait, I'm sorry. Did you fucking say chainsaw?
Yes.
Wow, chainsaw. I'm definitely playing this game again. Holy shit.
Yeah, in the original, there were 8 bonus weapons, I think.
Okay.
The chainsaw, the rock drill, cement saw, power spray, katana, and I don't remember what the other ones were. Most of them suck because they have such ridiculous wind-ups. They're not worth it because you will die before you can swing.
Okay.
Only one of them made it to remake, but It's your bestest pal when you pick it up.
Okay.
It's great.
All right. Then I guess I'm using a chainsaw.
Mhm.
There's a part, and we talked about it, where James has to reach his hand into that disgusting hole and pull out that jukebox key, right?
Mhm.
I remember that in the original just being a cutscene. Like, you didn't have to like press X or whatever to like keep. Was it just a cutscene?
Yeah, in the original, there's 3 or 4 holes you got to shove your arm into, plus the toilet, and it's interact with it once. There's something in the hole. Should I inspect it? Yes, no, yes, and then it's just a cutscene of him grabbing whatever it is.
Okay.
It doesn't make you keep pushing the button,
I'm
which was
not
another
sure.
one of those. Is this necessary? I mean, we're reaching around in the goo. Just give me the thing.
Yeah, I don't know why we had to do it. It was weird. I didn't understand that. We talked about the puzzle in the apartment with the walls and you got pissed off. Was that actually in the original? I don't remember it being.
No.
I was going to say that felt like completely new. Yeah.
No,
I didn't
in
think
the
so.
apartment, there's a couple safes. One involves getting the code out of the toilet, and the other one's written on a wall. And then there's the clock puzzle, and then the 3 coins puzzle. But those are the only ones in the apartment in the original. The trace line thing is entirely new.
Okay, that makes sense. And in fact, that would probably be pretty hard to do on a PS2 anyway, that level of texture work. It actually, like, can you imagine looking at PS2 textures that way? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. And no free aim on the flashlight either. So.
The elevator quizzes in the original. I asked you about that. Oh, when you unlock something, the locks just kind of like disappear into nothing. Did that happen in the original?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
It'll sometimes do a little animation of like the hasp popping up, and then it'll just dissolve out. And I always interpreted that as that doesn't necessarily mean the lock actually disappeared from existence. It's just video games, moon logic, get it off the screen.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But you could interpret it as, well, James has solved the puzzle, therefore Silent Hill is removing the item as it is no longer required. You could take it either way.
Yeah, you could go either way with that. I wasn't sure how to feel about that because, again, I never thought of it as just, I kind of mostly thought of it as a video game thing, right? That's what I interpreted it as. The gravestones with every character's name on them, was that in the original? I don't remember that shit. Okay.
No, it is. Yeah, when you get to that room in the prison in the original, it's basically identical. I think the text is slightly different between the two, but don't quote me on that. But it is the same. That, you have the 3 graves and you got to jump down your own to get to the next part.
All right, let's talk combat, monster design, anything in that arena, because Silent Hill 2 has a lot of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I'll start here, because something I've always really liked about Silent Hill 2 in the original was its approach to combat, because it's different. Like, I get it. You're supposed to be a quote unquote real person in this situation. And that's great because that's what makes survival horror like visceral and scary and shit, right? You are not Bayonetta who can go up here and chop up all these things or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. You're just kind of a quote unquote real person. However, that can obviously go too far the other way. Like, I feel like in Resident Evil 7, you feel like a piece of shit weakly. Like, it doesn't feel fun to play because they make you too much of a real person, right? So I don't like when games go too far with it. However, I think Silent Hill 2 nails it because you just kind of start out with this wooden plank with nails in it to beat on these fucking things with. And it works. You can beat them. It's tough. You don't have a lot of health, but you can actually do that. Like, I know this is going to sound maybe kind of stupid, but you can practically feel James's sheer determination through, like while you swing it, and he's like, as he does it, you know what I mean? Like the screams, the feedback in the controller, again, you feel it literally in your hands. It makes it this real, like like I said, visceral thing that I think is like really important for a game like this, probably more than other survival horror games. I think like Silent Hill 2 nails that aspect of it.
Yeah, I do think they got the combat right and got a good balance of everyman versus soldier boy and your ability to fight back. And I do agree the voice acting and animations of James when he's swinging wildly, they do suit the situation, and you do feel like part of the reason he can do this is he's willing to throw himself to that extreme because he wants this done.
Yep.
And and this is one of the few games I've left adaptive triggers on, because normally I don't like those. I've got carpal tunnel up the ass. It hurts.
Yeah.
I liked the way it worked in this one. And you can feel the difference in the trigger's pressure with the animation of which swing he does. And also, I don't know if you know this, but if you run, you can do this overhand swing that just wha-bam and just club somebody and it'll knock them down immediately. And it's great. Works really well on nurses.
I did it a couple times by accident. I didn't realize how he did it. So now I will be doing that at 60 frames per second.
Yeah, if you run at them from behind and they don't turn around and you hit the thing while still holding run, he will do this overhead slam that knocks them down immediately. It is a godsend on nurses, especially the knife ones.
Oh, yeah.
Because fuck them bitches.
Oh, yeah. They fucking, they were the worst. When they get stabby in you, my God.
And they swing like 5 times and it's like, okay, I'm just dead, I guess. You know?
Yeah. It's like, holy shit. Yeah, I just like that Silent Hill 2 has such a focus on melee because, like, I don't think most games do that. I guess most Silent Hill games have that, right? I feel like at least the original trilogy does.
They do, but 1 and 3 at least give you so much ammo that by the end you might as well just be using the guns because you got plenty.
Right.
2 is a little better about that, but remake is like, no, you won't get anywhere if you're trying to shoot everything.
No,
Sorry,
you can't.
You better save that for the bosses. You're gonna have a bad time.
Oh my God, I beat Abstract Daddy with 1 fucking handgun bullet left. 1.
Fuck the Abstract Daddy.
1.
I dumped 40 shotgun shells into that son of a bitch and then another 30 pistol rounds, and I was still reduced to bludgeoning him with a pipe to finally finish his ass off. And I'm like, which is like my one issue with the enemies, like their designs are great. The lying figures, the way if you look at them, they're wearing high-heeled shoes. They're much more clearly female in this game. The mannequins, the fact that they look like somebody lopped a couple people in half and glued them together with duct tape, where it's much less certain that that's a mannequin and not meat. You know?
Yeah.
I thought that was great. The nurses and their little bubbling pustules, which, by the way, only stop bubbling when they're dead. So if they're still popping, keep hitting it. Pyramid Head with his apron that is now much more clearly defined that you can interpret as a surgical smock or a butcher's apron, depending on what you want to think about him. All of that was good, but Abstract Daddy knocked it out of the bloody park as the best monster redesign in the whole goddamn game. But he is also the worst example of the problem I have with the enemies, and that is they are too goddamn spongy.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it's supposed to be tough, and it is, but there's a difference between tough because they're fast, they're stronger than you, they usually have the drop on you, and you have limited resources, and they're tough because of all that, plus it takes 12 swings to drop the most basic enemy, and even then, it's not dead. You got to hit it one more time. And then the nurses, you get into, you're whacking them 15, 20 times sometimes just to knock them down, and they're still not dead. And then Abstract Daddy just eats all your resources because he can.
Yeah. It's funny. Up to that point, I was like, man, I'm kind of stockpiling a lot of ammo here. I'm starting to get ahead. No, I'm not.
They gave it to you for a reason. And I kind of feel like that was almost deliberate. Like, oh, we're going to give you a bunch of supplies and then see how dumb you are with them. And then we're going to make you use all of them.
I did.
I think that may have been deliberate, but at the same time, it's a dick move.
Yeah, like I said, 1 bullet left. 1. Oh God, I had to against double Pyramid Head. I think I had to whack him a couple times to finish him off because I ran out of everything. I'm like, fuck this, and I just whacked him a couple times and it was over. I was just like, oh my God, thank you, Christ.
Double Pyramid Head, I had a slightly better time because I had been stockpiling rifle ammo and I did not use any. I refused to use it on anything until I got to that fight because I'm like, them fuckers are going to need it. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. No, I
did have to finish Maria off by beating her to death. But Pyramid Heads, nope. I was not going to melee them. No.
Yeah. It was man, it was tough. After a few retries, I was just like, I'm fucking done with this. I'm just beating these, and it worked. My rage worked. I just really like the melee because, like, fuck, I really cannot stand in old Resident Evils where people are like, well, you have the knife. The knife fucking sucks. The knife fucking sucks ass. Like,
the only time the knife is even slightly viable is in Code Veronica. And that's only because they let you stab down.
Yeah.
And even then, once you get out of the graveyard, it's useless.
Fuck the knife. If I ran out of ammo, I'm starting over in Resident Evil. I'm not using the knife. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I
agree with you.
And in this game, and that's actually one of the contrast things about the first game, like, because, obviously at that point we're used to Resident Evil. It's like, oh, wait, I have a melee weapon and I can actually, like, kill people with it. And it works.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, how do I say it? I don't know if I should say that I wanted there to be more enemy types, but maybe for the length of this game, maybe they could have used like a couple, maybe one more, right?
I can see where you're coming from. And I don't inherently disagree. I don't know what they would have put in that would have fit what was going on. In the original, Abstract Daddy becomes a mini mook throughout the hotel, so that helps with the enemy variety, but it doesn't make any goddamn sense because he's basically Angela's Pyramid Head, so why would he show up in James's shit afterward? That was stupid, and plus he's a pain in the ass. But so that wasn't a great answer, and I think removing him was the right answer.
Okay.
But it could have done to have something new maybe in the hotel, but I don't know what it would have been. That's the problem.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. I know, like, all the monsters kind of have a thing it has to tie into what's going on in his head, and I just don't know what else that would be at that point. Without just doing something generic like here's a zombie or something, which obviously, wouldn't work. So,
well, one thing that is nice is there are some variants of some of the enemies that were not in the original, because there's pretty much a lying figure is a lying figure is a lying figure in the original. In this one, you have those ones that explode, and then the ones that can actually snipe you from across a room.
That shit is annoying.
The nurses, you had the crowbar nurse and the knife nurse. And I feel like there was a variant for the mannequin too. Oh yeah, the wall climbing bastards.
Oh yeah, that's who I used the rifle on, because I was like, "Fuck these motherfuckers! I'm not having them get the." As soon as I heard that scuttling around, I was like, "Aim, pow!" Because it takes them out in one hit. So I was like, "Okay, I don't have to deal with that shit anymore." No, thank
Understandable.
you. I mean, I know that they'd only take a few hits, only quote unquote take a few hits when they get close to you, but still, I was just like,
they almost always will get the free hit on you before you can hit them because of the way they move.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm taking care of that shit. Anything else about combat or whatever before we go on? Monsters?
Just Abstract Daddy again. Most frustrating thing in the game, but also the best design and glow up and overall improvement from its original form. I mean, we all know what it's supposed to represent, and we all know it's basically Angela's Pyramid Head and all that. But the original is a quick, 5 shotgun blasts and you're done fighting a tiny room and nobody cares. Mm-hmm. This one being a whole dedicated area that includes a chase, some fake outs, the different phases he goes through as he's wailing on you, the interruptions of story beats from the televisions and Angela. I was like, dude, this is, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And they made him far more visually apparent what he is. And
Yes.
it's disgusting, but great at the same time. And
It's my favorite part of the game.
Bravo.
My favorite part of the game by far.
Okay.
I would say
can
so.
see that.
You know what though? See, there's the goddamn hotel. God damn it. Fuck.
The hotel is good. So good.
You know what? They're 1 and 1A. I can't pick. It's a hotel or that.
Fine time, fine time, fine time.
Let's talk criticisms. We've had a few so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about a few of mine, and some are small and some are actually, I don't really have too many because if I were grading this game, as I often do after I beat a game I post on Blue Sky, I gave it an A-, right? I mean, there's very little for me to complain about here, truly. But there's a couple things, and one of them is I wish this game had more music.
Mm-hmm.
Because okay, I know some might say it's a horror game, it shouldn't have music or whatever, but I disagree. Resident Evil has music, right? Especially older ones, It's just that when Silent Hill 2 does have music, it's fucking fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
God, when you first meet Maria,
yeah.
God damn, get the fuck out of here. I love that when you solve the music box puzzle in the hotel, the music just follows you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up to room, 312?
Yes.
And it's building you up for that moment that you've been waiting for the entire goddamn game. And it doesn't make any like spatial sense, but it's perfect that they did that. It's a very video game thing to do, but it's like, hell yeah, and I loved moments like that. I just wish there was maybe just a couple more. I just I don't know. I wish there was.
I agree with you. I agree with you to a point. Like, I love Yamaoka's soundtrack. It's beautiful. I have Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 soundtracks all installed on my phone for a reason, and I adore them. But at the same time, I kind of feel like if they had more, more of a good thing's good, but it might lower the punch value of what is there, because then you'd start, it's just sound. It's not, I better pay attention because now it's doing something. And
that is true.
I don't know.
That is true. That's absolutely true. I can see that. So maybe just I don't know, maybe one. I think if it had one or two smaller moments like that, I don't think it would take away from anything. If they did it the whole game, then yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I feel like we could probably have snuck in some kind of industrial nasty for either the abstract daddy area or the Eddie fight. That would have been fine,
Yeah.
And wouldn't have hurt anything. That might have been an option.
The only thing that I think is better in the original is the other world. The depiction of it, the way it looks. Yeah. I think that's probably my biggest criticism of the remake. I'm not totally in love at times with the depiction of it. I think in the original, they made it look much more contrasty, much more red and nastier, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not that it doesn't look like that in the remake. It's just that I don't know. For me, it doesn't hit the same. I feel because before when you went to the other world, it's whoa, what is this? I think the first time I did in the apartment, I was like, oh wait, am I there now? I don't think it had the same visual punch for some reason.
I had kind of the same thought when I went to the apartment, and I only realized I'd gone to the other world because the trophy notification popped up. It says, in the other world. Am I? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, that's my biggest criticism of the game. And if that's the worst thing I have to say, then I think we're doing pretty good. And
I can see what you're getting at. Sometimes it does feel a little too subtle, the difference between the real world and the other world. But I also think that may be a design choice. They may have wanted to blur that line because they're really leaning on James being completely unreliable. So that may be a stylistic choice. It's not necessarily one I embrace, but neither is it one I have a problem with. Okay. Also, in a lot of the areas where it's more obvious it's another world area, they are kind of going with the general style that has been in place since the first Silent Hill movie, where it's all that burned, dilapidated rot that looks the same. And I know a lot of people don't like that. I'm neutral on it. I'm just kind of used to it. That's what it looks like now, so it doesn't bug me as much. But I do think the original had more variety in the areas because each other world looked different. There was the rotten one, the moldy one, the wet one, the burned one, and that is not present in the remake. But if that's the worst thing I could say, I'll live with it.
Yeah, again, it's. I think it makes an A minus. Oh no, right? Like I feel like it's not really. Yeah, if that had looked like the way I thought it might look, then yeah. But again, not a huge criticism. I almost had a big criticism though of this game, and the game turned it around for the most part. So here's what I was thinking after the hospital. Right, I had this feeling where I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much fucking done rooting around in the dark, searching a giant building with a flashlight and prayers, okay? Like, I hope this game is over soon. But guess what? It's not over soon. No. Okay? Now there's a prison for me to root around in the dark and explore. Great. But here's the thing. I learned that I actually wasn't tired of the gameplay formula. I think what I wanted was just a little more spectacle, like some more sizzle. You know what I mean? Because while the exploration and puzzles are fun, sometimes you just need to spice things up, Yeah. And the prison and the subsequent labyrinth spices things the fuck up, baby. Like that's what I wanted. I was craving more like moments, for lack of a better term. And
especially that one basement room with Pyramid Head in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hello. Oh shit.
Hi. There you are. Whoa. Yeah. You know what fucking scared the shit out of me when you do that one thing and then it just immediately cuts to a cutscene of him choking you or whatever, and it's like, oh fuck.
Oh, at the hospital roof?
Yeah.
Chucks you? Yeah.
Scared the shit out of me.
I knew it was coming because that basically is the same in the original, and I still about crap myself. I was like, God damn it.
That got me good. Holy shit. Yeah, but I just wanted more stuff like that, and it really, shit, that first part, like where you finally solve the puzzle outside and you're going to the apartment and the fog picks up and starts and it roars, the storm? Right? Yeah, the storm, right?
That part is so good. Yeah. I was like,
oh. That shit's crazy. Yeah, I think I just wanted a few more moments like that. And I think for a long time in the game, they didn't have stuff like that. You're just rooting around exploring, solving puzzles, which is fine. I think I was just a little tired of that. But then the rest of the game from there, of course, rowing to the hotel, the whole bit, right? Then I'm getting a lot more variety. So it saved a big criticism. Like I said, if it had continued the way it was, I probably would have given the game like a B and not like an A minus. But like, yeah, I think because of this, essentially the second half of the game, it elevated it to a place where I was just like, yeah, I was just getting tired of something, and then they saved it.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So, but yeah, other than that, I don't really have any other criticisms of the game. Did you have anything that you didn't already mention, or?
No, my main thing's that one puzzle pisses me off. We could have trimmed the puzzles down just a little bit, and the enemies could be a little less spongy. But other than that, I'm like, it did everything I wanted it to do, and I was and this isn't so much a criticism as a wish list that we knew wasn't going to happen, but it would have been nice if we had gotten the Maria, or even, in a perfect world, the Angela and Eddie scenarios included. That would have been nice, but there's DLC maybe. Yeah, I can hope.
They could definitely do that. Does this game still have the dog ending?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to get the key in a little different way. It's a little more convoluted, but yes, you still can get the dog ending.
It's just
and it still plays the obnoxious song.
I did not believe my friend when he told me. I was like, there's like a dog ending. I'm like, get the motherfucker out of here. First of all, I didn't even know the game had multiple endings at first, right? So it's just like, we got the ending that we got because we played the game basically together. He had it and I didn't have a PS2 yet. So I basically played it as we spent a weekend going through that game, and it was fucking great. And we got the ending that we got. And I think we got leave. back then too.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure. And yeah, so he told me about this dog ending, and I was like, and he shows me it, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is so stupid.
Well, don't forget the UFO ending, which is even weirder this time. They changed that one.
Tell me.
Well, in the original, basically James just gets abducted by aliens, and that's that.
Right.
But in the new one, the UFO ending, the UFO comes in and literal 2001 James beams in, low poly count and all,
Oh my God.
and murders 2025 James. Like, you've done enough now. Just flies up. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Wow.
It's so weird.
That's amazing. How do you even induce that? Like, what do you have to do to even like...
In both versions, you get the channeling stone and then use it in certain preordained spots.
Okay.
In the original, the stone is in the bathroom at the beginning, and the spots are marked by the seal of Samael. In the new version, the stone is actually in the jewelry store window. You have to break it and pick it up, and it's only there in New Game Plus.
Okay.
And then when you stand in certain places, you'll hear this weird chime noise come out of the controller. And if you look in your inventory, the stone will be glowing in your inventory. And then if you use it in those spots, then the aliens come. And the last spot is always room 312. So you have to go through the whole game to do it, but it's there.
That's pretty good. I almost want to do that now.
And then there's 2 new endings just for this version too.
Tell.
There is the stillness ending, which you have to do some dancing around, and you have to have gotten the in-water ending already.
Okay.
And then when you finish the game, it's basically like In Water, where he's in the car, he's talking to Mary, but, Mary's technically not there. We're not going to talk about what's in his backseat. And he is preparing to off himself, but then Mary's hand comes out of the back seat and strokes his cheek. Says, James, you know what you have to do. And then it cuts. So it's basically In Water, but she's in the back seat.
Whoa.
It's like, what the shit?
That's crazy. Okay.
It is very disturbing.
Wow. What's the other new one?
The other new one, you get, you have to find a key and use it on a certain safe later in the game that they're only there for New Game Plus. And you need the chainsaw to get into it because you won't have a weapon to break the window otherwise to get the key.
Okay.
But when you do that, you'll get a bottle of White Claudia, the drug that they distribute, the cult does.
Right.
And if you drink that before you watch the video, James basically gets sucked into the TV and lives in Silent Hill forever. I just like, what is the Twilight Zone? Is that shit?
Yo, that's kind of wild. Wow.
It is.
That's insane.
They're both well worth looking at. There's no trophies or collectibles or anything associated with them, but they're worth seeing anyway.
Oh yeah, that's
and then plus there's the original 4 basic plus rebirth plus UFO plus dog
plus dog. I think that's about it. Shit. I mean, you got anything to say before we get out of here? I think, okay, you know what? A controversial maybe. I think this is better than the original. I do.
I don't think that's controversial at all. At the beginning, I said Silent Hill 2 is my second favorite game of all time. Number 1 is Metal Gear Solid 3. They both took a demotion. Silent Hill 2 Remake is number 1. They got bumped down. It is literally everything I could have wanted. And the only thing I would add is if Bloober Team is listening, please Born From a Wish, or maybe those cut Eddie and Angela scenarios. Maybe.
Yeah.
Shut up and take my money.
I will gladly buy DLC for this. Like I typically don't do DLC for like the horror. Like I haven't touched the Alan Wake 2 stuff. I want to, you know what I mean? But usually I'm just kind of,
it's really good.
Okay. I really want to. But yeah, man, I really love this game. It's better than the original. I think it kind of supplants it for me in a way. Mm-hmm. Like basically if someone were to ask me which one to play, I'm saying this. I'm not saying the original,
Yeah.
Like
no reservations at all.
Yeah.
Go play this. You will get 99% of the same experience, and the 1% is better.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's about it for me. Patrick, thank you for joining me to talk about yet another spoopy game. I think that is your role here now on Fine Time.
I'm okay with that.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Check the description of this podcast to find our names on social media. Rate and review us wherever you listen. Give us a good review. Just write a sentence. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
You've been listening to